10 seconds remaining. Dire team ban. Ten seconds remaining. Dire team ban. Ten seconds remaining. Vici Gaming's turn to pick. Dire team pick.
Tidehunter.
Dire team pick. Ten seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Reserve time.
Earth Spirit.
Vici Gaming's turn to pick. Ten seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Reserve time.
Hello and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We're still in China, Manila Major Qualifiers, and we're here in game number 2 of iG.Vitality facing off against Vici Gaming. Lyrical as well as Blaze will be your commentators for this series, and I'm pretty excited. We saw some craziness in game number 1. What are you hoping to see in game number 2 here?
Well, the Axe was a lot of fun. Obviously, that's a 6.87 favorite. I've enjoyed it in pubs quite a bit, and obviously a lot of people have hated it to an extent, but that's, Dota's a give and take. You take the fun for yourself, you take it from your enemies. So, RTK tried. Unfortunately, it just didn't work out the way that they planned it to.
It's a zero-sum game for fun. That's what it is.
It is. But all the same, we'll see what they bring to this second game here. Vici Gaming, obviously, with their name value, that a lot of people will give them the potential, but so far, they haven't had the results. iG, 3 games in a row are able to take it down. FTDB was expected. Vici, a little less so. We'll see how the match concludes here. Second game of the best of 2, and we're already into that draft.
Well, starting it off right, the Doom, Tidehunter, Earth Spirit into Lich pick that we've been seeing so far now. Starting off with the first phase Tidehunter, I mean, to some extent it makes sense to me. I've seen this hero be able to secure those objectives, even just the threat of a Ravage when you've got a big squad there to back you up. It's really difficult to TP in and try and defend those objectives wherever they happen to be across the map. And do you think that this is too weird? Are we going to start seeing more Tidehunter firsts?
I mean, there are a few teams that do prioritize, mostly teams that have heavier draft influence from the offlaners, because to be frank, offlane Tide is just really easy to play, because the very worst case scenario is you go jungling. But like, no matter what, you're able to contest the lane. If they throw 3 heroes at you, you go on your Talon jungle, no harm done, and you're always going to be able to get it back. Like, this hero is almost impossible to render obsolete. Doom, I guess, is one of those exceptions with the ultimate, as well as, of course, just mass BKBs. But generally speaking, Tide is still going to always have enough impact, and he's always going to be able to bring a lot to the table. But I'm even more happy really about the banning phase here, respecting the Enchantress potential from iG.V, but more importantly, iG.V controlling that Beastmaster pick. They first picked it, now their second pick, they ban it. And they make sure that it's never in HYM's hand. They know that that's Vici Gaming's comfort zones. So now they're going to, flip the script a little bit, show us what they can do with this Tide and Earth Spirit, and it does bring a lot to the table in terms of magical output. So I hope that they kind of shuffle the deck a little bit and show us what they can do in another capacity.
And we're going to also see the Mirana picked up again. This is what they ran in game number 2 of the last series, and I gotta say, they played it to great effect in that one, and they ran it then with the Tidehunter as well. This was a pretty freaking strong matchup that they ended up putting out there. It was the Aghanim Scepter upgraded ultimate, or rather not ultimate, but Starstorm from Mirana that just allowed you to continuously spam that out. And you think about it, the arrow into a leap with a dual Starstorm can ostensibly hit somebody 4 times with one of those. 300 magical damage that many times over is nothing to joke around with. And then they ended up going into the Blink, and then it was like double Blink, Ravage, and Starstorm. It was just terrifying to play against.
Absolutely. It definitely is one of those heroes that is coming online in a big way. A lot of teams have been talking about it as she got patched in with that upgrade, and just has a clearer first item to go, because I think in previous patches, the first question for Mirana was, what item does she actually look for? It's based on kind of what she wants to do for the game. There's no catch-all item that's really good. You go for Hand to Midas, because you're really good in developing your experience and your mid to late game, and also because my argument is because there's no 2,000 gold item you really have to have on Mirana. Like, you can go for casual Yasha, that's pretty sweet. Drums of Endurance, never bad, but like, you never really need one item, you need like 2 or 3 usually. Well, I feel like Axe is filling that empty spot where it's like, this is a catch-all item that can do a lot of different things. You can fight with it, you can farm with it, and you can actually get tanky, which is something that Mirana rarely gets to say. So this is definitely a way to progress the hero. They're obviously creating opportunities for the arrow to go to work here with the Earth Spirit initiation, hopefully actually getting to buy Orb of Venom instead of Courier this game, and then of course the Venge on the other lane.
We're going to be seeing how they end up doing. A Razor is a very interesting answer. When I always think about this hero, I always think of the ramp up of damage, but the other part of it that I guess is also pretty important is just that naturally tanky hero that can sometimes punish the single target projectiles that you end up seeing from Venge and I guess Gush from Tidehunter. What else am I missing with this hero? What is he going to do in this draft for Vici Gaming that they want to prioritize him as 4th?
The big thing is when you're playing up against a Vengeful Spirit, and I started kind of theory crafting this around the Summit 4 when Venge actually became a very popular carry. She used to go for like just BKB and survivability items, so she could suicide swap and make you put more damage into her while their carry is getting destroyed. And usually that was in a metagame of a lot harder carries and glass cannons. Well, I feel like even in a sports sense, the logic behind counterpicking that is just to get a carry that doesn't care about positioning as much, that is okay with being thrown in the middle of things as long as he's built properly. So I feel like a really defensive build Razor is okay with getting vent swapped. Less okay with getting arrowed, but it still isn't the end of the world, because if he's building right, he might be able to survive the end of it. So I feel like in general, like an ice armored Razor is still very difficult to really pressure to a full extent. The single target spells, like mentioned, are going to be an issue, and this hero does go into a death ball style very, very well. I previously quoted the stat that Vici Gaming are generally considered to be more comfortable in a later game situation. This is not one of those games. This is a game where they are going to be looking to fight in that game stage, fight into the Ravage, fight into the Starstorm, and try to come up positive on the other side. They need an early mechanism. They need early durability. Maybe it's just as simple as an SY, but just something to beat themselves up, because they are going to fight it out. This is a brawl. This is going to be a lot of fun.
You know, and I always think about the disruptor in that context as somebody who's going to be able to make sure that if somebody does try and TP to defend a tower, you're going to end up fighting 4-on-5 or something else along those lines. That being said, we're now looking at an iG.Vitality draft that has 2 heroes that are very, very adept at clearing waves. If Mirana does end up going for that Agnum Scepter, with Ember Spirit being there as well. And then Tidehunter is not too shabby at himself. And I'm looking at the iG.Vitality draft. It feels like they have that potential to scale into the late game. And, you know, you talk about the sort of tankability of Razor. I do kind of wonder what happens if he gets hit by like 3 of the Starstorms. Like, is he capable of standing up to that type of damage?
Well, that's it really is the question Vici Gaming have to ask themselves, and they have to find ways to make sure that Mirana doesn't get to that stage, whether it's something like Glimpse or maybe the Dragon Tail. I think around level 6 Dragonite, CTY can actually start pressuring Fran pretty heavily, because if you're ever in that Dragon Tail range, then what you can do is have the Disruptor TP in, go for the Elder Dragon form Dragon Tail, and then you can keep the Disruptor walking past the Mirana, so even if she leaps out, you're able to go ahead and get that glimpse back and control her positioning from there. So I feel like the ideal situation is that X comes out a little bit later, where it's not going to be as big of an impact, and then even if you get the double Starstorm hit, or more likely in a team fight, you're just going to hit with both waves, then the Razor will still be able to survive through it and keep on trucking. So, yeah, I do think that Vici Gaming lineup has some good potential, but I've been talking a lot today, mostly about this mechanism, just an item that both teams really need in this situation and in mid situations to survive. This AoE spell set, and while I have to take or break this game, it's just got to get a decent time for Vici Gaming if they're going to be able to deal with the Mirana and Vision Enter.
Well, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. iG.V facing off against Vici Gaming. Are iG.V going to be able to go 2-0 so far at the start of this group stages? And likewise, are Vici Gaming going to drop down to 0-2? There's a lot on the line for both of these squads, and see who's going to be able to take it at this stage. I'm kind of at the point also right now, I'm wondering where this Earth Spirit is going to end up trying to roll on in and find kills. You look at the lineup of Vici Gaming, it's all incredibly tanky. I mean, do you think that a dogfight here might be able to make something happen in mid against this Razor, or rather against the Dragonite? It looks like we're going to end up seeing. Is that a viable kill, or is the Dragon Blood going to be a little bit too difficult to tear him down?
Dragon Blood has been one of those spells, passives, who has been tanked up quite a bit. On top of that, the Stout Shield and the low right-click damage from Mirana. Like, even starting off, she's only at 55 here, and that is just not going to be really that much, even if you get the Rolling Boulder and the Orb of Venom in. You can definitely levy the matchup, make it even easier for the range versus melee to get that CS advantage, but I don't think kills are really going to be on the board for this Earth Spirit. He's probably going to have to be consuming that Tome of Knowledge to get his momentum and to get his levels up. I generally consider Venge more important of a priority for the Tome of Knowledge, but in this case, if you're not finding the ganks, something's got to give. The Earth Spirit needs to find his momentum elsewhere. No block on iG.V's side here. A lot of the Bounty Rune and blocking metagame has come down to, yeah, the mid will still grab the bounty, but you have a dedicated block from beginning to end for your mid lane. Instead, you're seeing Fran here just make sure that he gets the Bounty Rune with the Venge supporting him, but the trade-off is that the creeps should be favoring the Radiant side, which is really good for CTY to start things off.
Yeah, it's going to put him in a great position here, and he actually ends up going to the Dragon Blood first, seeing that that is indeed the case, and so getting a nice little 3 regen as well as 3 armor. It's a pretty good way to start your game. HYM as well as Sylar here against iG.Vi. If you're able to stun up, is this a kill game for these tiers here?
Gonna get the glimpse back here. You're gonna be seeing a lot of damage come in. We'll just have to test it a little bit. Anchor Smash not doing much here, by the way, but you did that with armor from the tower. Yeah, it's not a kill yet, but it is an amazing amount of harassment. This second reason that it's really good in the game, not just because he likes to build tank, because he matches up so well against this side. Got to see, like, a number of times you'll see heroes like Viper and Razor go 1v1 against the top supports can roam elsewhere and still absolutely dominate, nearly fully own them from the wave because of how strong they are by comparison. He doesn't care about Anchor Smash. And so actually going to be seeing a triple combo coming out of TK, but Dogfights misses the Rolling Boulder, which might just be the difference maker. They starting with Surge Veins, had the double stun, but Dogfight's swifts it.
Yeah, and the ice armor also in this situation is going to mean that, you know, all of these ganks are going to be that much more difficult to actually try and pull off. I will also mention that down here, you take a look at the itemization, Tidehunter opting for more of the tangos, and that does mean that Thylar has boots, Disruptor has boots. He's going to be struggling.
They actually started 3 boots. Like, it was RTK was the last man who was like, thinking, you know what items do I really want to go here? And he decided, based on the fact you're up against an Earth Spirit with that or Venom Rush, yeah, you absolutely need the boots to seed early. And though he isn't able to jungle very well, he is able to actually go in and look for experience. So, I think the boots is a really big deal here, as obviously for the Razor, the movement speed matchup is very important. And the Disruptor, I guess, is going to roam around a little bit more. He can make those glimpse runs that I was talking about, where you essentially secure even a level 1 glimpse by running past your opponent. And this just creates more direct confrontation opportunities for HYM.
Seeing right now as well that they're going to be trying to do whatever they possibly can to mess with Injuly's experience over here. They got the pull through, and it looks like Injuly still should be able to get a decent amount out of this, but he's getting a lot of harassment for his trouble, not opting to take that Thunder Strike. Meanwhile, up in the top lane, this might be a moment for them to make stuff happen, and actually the Invis Rune ends up not being able to do anything as the Sentry Ward had already been deployed. So very on top of it, Gaming realizing that they have to win this one to be in a good position as forward and doing everything they can do. Yeah, as far as Mid was just farming away.
Yeah, but really good farming out for CTY in particular. He's not getting really punished at all by the rest from the Mirana. Between the Breathe Fire, seeing the Mirana damage shield, you're seeing pinpricks of auto attacks come out against Zeke, and he's able to not only sustain it, but just dominate it. And it's going to be actually the first blood there. They did get those full combo right this time. So they get their usage of the Searing Chains, the Magic Missile, and the Rolling Boulder all the way through, and they do get a very important kill.
That was very well done there, and the chains coming through at the very end as well, that kick. And I'm looking at these lanes right now, and it doesn't really feel like there's a ton of punishment that's going on in the other ones. Is this something where you feel like you need to try and find a kill on the Tide, as he's actually doing backflips in the bottom lane?
Not at all.
You think that they're comfortable with where this lane is at right here?
Extremely, because you look at that mid matchup, and you've got nearly a 10 CS advantage for this Dragonite over the Mirana. With the exception of that first blood, like, they don't have anything going against them in this laning phase. They have a massive CS lead on the DK, who is just completely good showing what this hero could do in terms of just full creep control. He's got the Quelling Blade, he's got the Doubt Shield. These 2 items allow DK to do a lot as long as he has the mana pool to also keep his Breathe Fire out. We will see the missile come out. This time RTK, taking too much.
Yeah, it's going to be a quick and easy one. Mirana, in the meantime, is skulking down in the bottom lane, was looking to see if she could find an arrow, but there wasn't going to be any luck there, and she was forced to head back towards the mid lane. So the rotation comes over, they find themselves a kill inside of it, and now back towards the other side. I mean, it's still worth noting, CS and net worth, it's all favor in Vici Gaming right now.
Yeah, and I think that the big thing is that experience early on. It would be a lot harder to look at if not for those 2 kills on the Doom, but still by attrition, this Lich is doing so much work in the top lane. Experience per minute, Lich is 3rd. He is in a dual lane, but he's 3rd in experience per minute because of the sacrifice that he's got 2 points in. We're actually seeing, despite having 2 kills, that the Ember Spirit is down at 230, 250 now, and like he's desperate for these kills because otherwise, by default, Burning is sapping away his income.
That's really hurts them. And I kind of feel like based upon that, you're going to end up needing to try and make something happen here. And you can see this rotation that's coming in towards the mid lane. Super, as well as Dogfights, are going to be looking for a jump onto CTY. He's so freaking tanky and does have that level 6. Going to be going for the play now. The magic let's come out. He already got the dragon form. The split either. Can they actually find it? It doesn't look like it. They actually get the dragon tail off. Brand might be in a little bit of trouble. Can they pull it back? No, it's not going to be able to be enough, as we did not see the Disruptor in the area. He was down bottom, but still, they call off gank.
Yeah, but I mean, that's just the defensive response when you see 3 hero metas. You gotta just, as a high-level player, have the desire to do something about that. This is a global game. TV scrolls are only 50 gold a pop. You want to make those rotations. The great thing about it is with a death falling setting like this, with this Dragonite, you can just follow it up with a full 4-man rotation and go hard onto the tower.
But they're here as well. They do not have Ravage, actually, so in July, he's posturing like he wants to make a play, but I'm not sure if he's quite in a position to do so. They're still taking the top tower at this point in time, so is pressuring out. this lane, and maybe just trying to keep them all eyes here towards the mid lane while he's able to do that.
Yep, so in the meantime, the Disruptor gets a lot of solo experience, which is very good. Level 6 is a very critical thing for the Disruptor, and sometimes you'll look for maybe Tome of Knowledge to come over the edge here, but he doesn't have to even worry about it because way before then he's going to have his ultimate online. However, there is the waiting in the wings. They want the Razor, but they will take the Disruptor if they have to.
Yeah, that's a jump forward. Quick and easy one. Should be a kill. They actually throw the stone out the other direction, so not going to quite find on the Sylar, but already sapping the damage. They do need to disengage with this from this point in time. Up in the top lane, it's still going to be Doom looking for something, but with no level 6 on him either, this is not going to be a kill. He can only really contest away at the Ember.
So, looking just overall at the current state of the game, 3 kills is what iG.V leads in, and yet, as you mentioned, gold and experience going back the other way. It's just, it really comes down to the fact that CTY is outlaning Fran along with this Lich pick, giving them this early lane dominance. But I feel like still Vici has to look to transition into something more. They weren't able to really break this tier 1, not even half the HP. That arrow is actually going to connect.
That's kind of something I was curious about. It was a very interesting pause.
I mean, at the worst case, CTY just pops the Invis rune, and there's absolutely no form of detection, so this will not mean anything but a little bit of magical damage. So, a little awkward pause, but there's plenty of time to pop Invis, and there's no reason not to, honestly. So he'll try to juke the arrow, he will pop Invis, and it should, at worst, be a little bit of damage on the back end.
See if it does end up coming out there. iG.Vitality, don't actually hit the Invis. They have the follow-up stun available. They're going to end up connecting it there. The rolling bolt forward. Now they're going to be able to connect as well with that Thunderstrike. Oh, God, dogfights. That was somewhat questionable.
Well, I mean, it's just CTY playing the pit here, pulling the straight, saying, okay, want to go hard on me? Go, be my guest. You don't have the damage to burst me down in a single arrow, and as such, we burn it, take the tier 1, which is really the overall objective. It's not a single Earth Spirit kill. They don't care about the kill support. They care about the power and the structural damage they can deal to iG.V in this first 20-minute phase.
Blaine, they've brought back in a couple of these spirits, and this might end up being a quick and easy one. Maybe enough to be able to survive this. And unfortunately, Earth and Ember are not going to be enough to kill off the Doom, as they've rotated in a still more Dragon Knight also in that top lane. They've been pretty fast and loose with their TP.
So we are going to be seeing the potential glimpse back on bottom. This could be a really big pickup on July. If they just get some of him, they get the kinetic, but they don't find the glimpse. And they really did want to follow through on that, but in the end, it is just going to be Side continuing to do his thing, build himself up with that Iron Talon jungle, and even getting some ancient stacks for himself. So this should be a pretty nice progression towards something like a mechanism.
Well, it's actually going to be time for the moment. Vengeful Spirit does not actually have any wards, so I guess the play here is to try and make a kill happen. We do have Ravage up on Tidehunter. There's 2 heroes in the area. If they could find something here, this would be a really huge moment for them. And Super Fran in the area, vision-wise...
Oh no, they miss it!
Okay. That's really unfortunate. Now they're actually going to glimpse back Super. They actually hit the arrow on the Sylar. This might be enough, but Super is barely going to be able to try. I think the Thunderstrike does kill her off there, and unfortunately they don't want to pack Ravage. This has actually all gone wrong. Oh, wow. That was a bit of a misplay.
I mean, it's definitely awkward because they were kind of essentially arguing between themselves. It was a very visible one with July not wanting to commit the Ravage where he didn't feel it would create enough value, but a little bit of panic in the situation where they missed the smoke opportunity. They thought that it was very clearly like somebody right here just strolling back south, and they would have vision for the missile, which would set up the arrow, and it would be a lot cleaner of a kill. Instead, the HYM forces the confrontation, and they get the freebie. Another big thing in this position is this early infused raindrop coming out for Sylar. We also have one on Fran, and these allow these kinds of heroes to stay in the fights for a lot longer, thanks to just this extra durability. Oh, what a lucky thing for Dog. Oh! Spot check. Your flamethrower here.
That's pretty good. Bottom lane there. I think it's got a little something. He did glimpsed back towards the other side. The arrow ends up hitting onto HYM, and quick and easy comes the kill. They end up being able to find it. Nicely done there.
The Disruptor will still be picking up the Tome here. Lich certainly has plenty of experience to boast for himself, doesn't need any books for his knowledge. And it looks like Earth Spirit will be the one to pick up his own. Yeah, we will see level 6 come out all of a sudden for Dogfight. He gets to learning, and he's got that ulti online.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
For a little bit more now. This is the thing we're talking about. I mean, you got in July here on this Tidehunter, ready to ravage if anybody happens to TP. And so, if you're Vici, you're just sort of forced to trade off the tower in the top lane. The Drag-Eye Blink Dagger, though, this is something that I'm pretty interested in. For a team that's already lacking some damage, do you think that he really has to go to that next? As it looks like we might be having an engagement here? Really?
I'm sure. I think that they're because the death ball style, considering the timer that they're on overall in this game. I think BKB will be the next item, but we do see right now the Doom coming out. Do they have the detection to stay on top of July? An arrow against the Doom, and July just walks away.
Oh man, that really hurts. And honestly, if this Doom ends up wearing off and he's still alive, the turnaround from Ravage could be immense. They might be looking for it now. They've already been able to get the Magnetize off, reapplying it now on 3. Also, Sylar being controlled for the moment. The arrow is not quite going to hit, but they do get the magic missile. Oh wow, Earth Spirit already killed off the Lich, and now they reapply the Magnetize again. That's the 3rd time. ROTK is dropping very low. They're not going to be able to get another one, unfortunately, but might be able to find the stun. Trying to dodge it, nice blink away. But, oh, that was... Ugh.
That was a Vici Gaming initiation with Doom, without Ravage involved, and lost 2. We need wards! We need wards! It's not even on my chat wheel because I'm the support, but that's not important right now. Where's the sentries? Like, you can't just let them get away with that. The Moonlight Shadow being the surmountable get out of jail free card, like, come on, Vici! That is such a big loss. Now you see 2 sentries and 2 dust on burning, but where was it 60 seconds ago? Oh, and an arrow on RTK.
You know it's going to be controlled. That's going to be the Static Storm, but already dead. You managed to kill off that Vengeful Spirit, and now looking for a little bit of a retreat. It looks like they're going to be able to escape, possibly. It does look like July might need to pop that Ravage. He doesn't have turned it around, but that might just need to be an escape one. And I think that now iG.V needs to get out of here. The blink forward, Dragon Tail onto Dogfights, and he's down too. So what did look like a pretty terrible situation ends up turning around. Somehow they win the fight without Doom, and then the Ravage gets popped onto them. So
what a world.
I don't know what's going on anymore.
But yeah, I mean, that is going to be like probably like the Ravage that should never have been. Like, he's been holding on to it so long too. Like, he's like, oh, I don't want to use it on these 2 heroes. I don't want to use it in this situation. No. Let's hold it. And then he's going to go down. He thinks it might save his life. And we see a little bit of selfishness coming out from in July. But he gets fired down, and as such, Vici Gaming come back swinging. Nice little bit of kill trading going on, and that Chain Frost actually got really lucky bouncing back. That it not like if anybody in Twitch chat, if anybody watching would have fired that Chain Frost, it would have bounced back to the creep wave. They're like 5 or 6, but no, for burning alone, smiles.
We're looking now as well. I'm trying to get a little bit of a sense of where this game is at right now, because you see that we've been having a bit of a slugfest recently. Some ultis got thrown out. They were able to build up now on Vici Gaming about a 3,000 net worth lead, but it does feel like it's either team's game to win at this stage. Is there somebody that this type of style of Dota favors? Like, they've only been able to take down the tier 1 towers on the Dire side, so I guess you could say that, iG.V have that sort of banked money for when they eventually are able to take down those tier 1s.
I mean, the chaotic style definitely creates opportunities, and as such, Vici Gaming are looking to kind of snowball those. They probably wish that it was clearer wins. They definitely wish that they were able to not only go into the fights, but also being able to convincingly take them. I actually see Fran trying to for the leap, but that Observer, there's the dust, and they'll just glimpse it back to secure it. TP not going to happen no matter what. And this is a use of the new ward, the high ground ward, very recently placed. They actually used it. Now this is interesting. Actually, I haven't gotten a chance to look at this. We'll make sure nothing's happening bottom before I go on a small tirade about how this is actually really good for smoking from Radiant to Dire now. It's not just a really good ward to have in the Dire jungle. That goes without saying. It covers 3 camps. By smoking in, usually you're like, oh, we have to go up 2 steps. We break a smoke here. We don't see them, and we get screwed. But by being able to, at this point, place the ward, see what's on the other side, see what's in the fog of war, and being able to follow up on it, that's actually very critical. So Yeah, very nice spot for the ward and very nice timing for it. So able to find that kill on the Mirana while she's still trying to build up that axe.
Well, and yeah, and that's pretty key. I mean, she did just buy one of the other components of it in that Ogre Club, but every little bit counts as far as being able to deny out some of that gold. And it does look like how iG.V are going to be looking to try and take this tier 2 tower in towards that mid lane. They're actually going to be scanning Roshan, and that is going to be one of those Radiant scans used, and not seeing anybody in it. It looks like, at least for the moment, they're going to be just continuing the farm war. Is there anything that iG.V are looking for in particular to try and allow them to fight? They've already got mech up and ready to go.
It's their best opportunity now before the DK gets BKB. The Razor probably will go BKB as well, but we'll see. For right now, though, in July, he's got mech. They want to make this jump and make it soon because they are going to have a really hard time fighting into the Dragon Knight, a Black King Bar, which he's guaranteed to go.
RTK was there trying to block out that smoke, and I'm wondering right now how they go on about the initiation. You've got the Vengeful Spirit there, but unfortunately only level 1 swap at this point, so there's not really a great ability for them to fight. You just kind of got to walk in and ravage.
Oh, and the BKB is arriving now. They had to go before that, but they couldn't find the arrow. And now you can't fight at this. He's got ice armor, he's a big red dragon, and he's going to be golden 2 with a Black King bar. This is not something that you contest tier 2s over. It's actually, this is Vici Gaming's strongest point.
Alright, have the arrow now, turn back around, BKB. The rest of his team is not with him, though.
Okay. This is Vici Gaming's weakest point.
Alright, that was a little bit odd, 10-second BKB. I mean, you gotta do it at that point. Like, if you get ravaged right there, I guess he could have blitzed.
I think you'd have the response time. Like, unless he's on top of you, you will have the moment to BKB. Everything is transparent here. Arrow, Magic Missile, and Ravage. You'll see all, even though both are smashed. Now there's speed. A good player on low ping will have the reaction time to BKB that. That was him thinking it was go time. It was not go time. It was time to just secure the win. I mean, they took the tier 2. They should be happy with that. Instead, it's a 10-second BKB charge, the drain, and CTY a little miffed about that.
You know, I will also say that it's one of those moments where I'll mention Vici Gaming. I think they had, before the open qualifiers, 16 games together on 6.86. And there might still be some of those communication issues that are trying to be worked out. It's always difficult to try and form a new team, particularly when you've got people that are switching roles, you've got a whole lot of personalities to contend with, and it's be a case where even though you've got all of this talent on this squad, you're still in a position where it's not all perfectly meshed together as of yet. But as of now, we've got Mirana only about 500 gold away from finishing off our Agnum Scepter, and looks like they want to party.
Alright, that is definitely party time once they get that. They still have to be worried about this BKB on the DK, but they can focus alternatives. Like, it's actually pretty interesting to see this Razor go into this build up here, where it features the Dragonlance and the Hand of Midas, where obviously the items each individually have some decent value. I'm not sure if it's going to be enough to really convincingly fight into all of this burst. Like, we were talking about building up tankiness. This Razor has good movement speed and good range, so he doesn't have to be in the thick of things, but still probably close enough to get magnetized. If he gets hit by the searing chains, his movement speed doesn't matter, and then he's going to get hit really hard, especially when the double Starstorm comes up. So I'm really worried for this Razor. I think that while his build has lots of potential, Sylar, if he plays it right, isn't going to be in that bad of a spot. If he just gets caught by one spell, it's going to be hard. Only the bonus 15 strength from that Dragonlance.
We're going to see if he's going to be able to sustain through all of that damage that's coming out their way. They're going to end up remedying back. A little bit of a fight might be starting off pretty soon here. Fran is already controlled for the moment, and a glimpse back into Static Storm. That's dead hero. There's no two ways about that. You are not going to be able to survive that amount of burst damage.
Yep, and so they're even going to be trying to push into it further. He does have the kind of this offensive position where, and he knows that he has the follow through as well. The range of initiation from Disruptor and from this Blink DK. If he sees an opportunity, he'll take it. But CT2 hey, let me focus on the farm. They've been doing a really good job stacking this Ancient Camp. I actually can't remember the last time I saw an Ancient Camp this methodically stacked without a Helmet Dominator involved. This has just been supports, doing their due diligence, and making sure they can optimize the farm to their core. So CTY building up big, and I'm trying to think what to see out of this DK next. I mean, he's going to have Blue Dragon farm around his next item pickup. AC is the best thing that I can come up with. What do you think?
Pretty much at this point in time, I feel like you need to build into some of those larger items. Like, the other thing that we sometimes saw was Armlet for Dragonite,
Sure.
but I think at this point it's a little bit too late for that.
Yeah.
You need, I mean, it's quick damage, which is great, but like, Yuno's going to end up going into his next damage item potentially, or he might end up going back into Manta, who knows. Going to be looking for him, but a quick Remnant away and it's no problem. But yeah, I would say either AC or, trying to think about, I don't think Daedalus is enough. I think the more armor, the better.
Yeah, so, I mean, obviously a lot of choices on the table, and this is CTY we're talking about. He is the one who thinks about these items very carefully and doesn't care if anyone disagrees with him. He'll go for sure. But we'll see. This is, in my mind, the next stage of the game. We are at a stage where now there is a BKB9 on a DK who's got gold, who's going to be looking for his next big pickup, which apparently involves the secret shop, maybe a Reaver, be good. But the bottom line is now we're also looking at this Aghanim's on the Mirana, and that changes a lot. This means that the fights are going to get a lot heavier, and no bitch! Oh, Angel!
Thought about it. He wanted to go for it, but that's one of those that if it missed, you're kicking yourself for a while. So I can understand that. That's a reasonable enough solution. So Aghanim's Scepter is up there. I kind of also, now that I'm thinking about it a little bit more, they've been doing this slow little chip damage. But what do you think about trying to go on and securing Roshan and pushing in one objectives? Like, IG have a pretty good view of the map on the side here.
I think that the biggest problem I have with that is Vici Gaming want DK to be on the front. They want the Doom to be. They want everybody else behind that. That's this Dragonlance implies, and it's what Disruptor right naturally. The freebie super gonna go down before it even begins.
Well, they get the snuff. They're gonna be able to catch on to CTY. Static Storm hits onto 2. They're gonna glimpse him back out of it now, and the Ravage comes down. What is happening right there? First, there's a lot of freaking damage. The Frost might not be enough to quite bring him down, unfortunately. Sylar chasing after him. On the other side of the battle, RPK is chasing down in July. They might be able to get both of them off the back of this doomed up unit for the moment. They're trying to get this and turn them back around, but I think that ROTK is taking for them. Oh my goodness.
Oh, perfect control from iG.V to get the arrow locked down the DK so hard. They perfectly stagger their abilities, and despite his really tanky exterior, are able to finish him off without even a millisecond where he could have popped the BKB to try to turn that around. Instead, he gets obliterated, and what seemed to be a freebie for the Veg turns into a lot loftier of an engagement. Now, there's still good damage from the Lich, the Razor, even the Doom to make up for a little bit. They do get the pick-off they really wanted in that Mirana, but they definitely need to make sure that they are making the use of each timing window where they have this BKB up. And while they don't exhaust the charge, they also don't take a fight convincingly.
And now you see right up here as well, CTY starting to build into that AC finally. I will say, the ROTK pickup of the Shadow Blade, I really like the Blade Mail. I feel like it's really good against all of the heroes pretty much on the side of iG.V. But the Shadow Blade doesn't really help that much for being able to take high ground unless they take a fight outside of the base. Please correct me if I'm wrong in that, but I'm kind of wondering if you might be regretting that item choice later.
Unless he was actually going all in for the AC and the DK was not, which obviously we see is the opposite, there's not actually a great high ground item for the Doom. I mean, he could go for Vladimir's Offering, that'll help his team as a whole, but it's not really a game changer. What is the potential for RTK to just straight up pick off a hero. Get in, Doom a Tide right before he's about to go in and Ravage, a Doom Avenge right before she defensively swaps, anything that you really find as an opportunity, you can definitely change the game. The easiest way to break high ground is an unfair fight, 5v4, so I think RTK is just really looking for the opportunity. He might find it here in July.
Just looking, there's going to be a jump forward, and it's going to try and block up this way too. There's nowhere to go, but yet again, we're running into a problem. There's not a whole lot of dust there. They're not going to be able to reveal any of these heroes, and Super just walked away. They're doomed up. They're looking for anything at all, but I am a little bit concerned about them now. You've got CTY who's stuck over there to the side, and Sylar now controls is going to get the magic missile coming out. Purge.
What are you doing there, Sylar?
Oh my god, this is they've got Ravage now up, and Link is going to be available in 8 seconds. They're going to try and TP away on HYM. Does he end up popping it for this? No. Oh my god, the Golden Smash comes out just a second too late.
6.87, thank you. But yeah, it's going to be free Roshan for IGV. Sylar just hard pushing that tier 2 tower. Does have the Aghanim's Eye of the Storm, so explains what he was doing there. He was trying to get an objective, but in the meantime, IGV took, again, the advantage of the night, or the moonlight, and that's going to be getting them out of a bad spot into an amazing one, as they should take this Roche for free. I mean, there is a theoretical potential, kinetic field, static storm, chain frost, but it's a wombo combo that never will be, and we'll just see this Roshan go easily to, the Ember Spirit. So I often would expect a Mirana to pick it up here, but they want to make sure that they have life insurance on the Ember because he's the one that defends the high ground.
Well, and there's the blink here. I can kind of understand it as well. It does seem like it might be good to be able to have the possibility of jumping in several times, but Mirana would probably love to not be able to get caught out several times either. I also will say that, you can't flame these supports too much. Again, Lich did have a gem on his person, just was not there with the rest of the team.
He did not he got the gem just now. He had dust. He kind of used it desperately. The problem was positioning. He just couldn't get to the fight in time.
Right. So I mean, they had reveal. It's just that again, the lack of communication is more what this is than any one individual player playing badly. I feel like, which I think it's pretty easy to just harp on a one player in particular. But the issues in this game have been much more about just a lack of communication than anything else. And I'm kind of wondering at this stage, like, Vici Gaming, the small lead they've been able to build, only about 5,000 at its most, is this going to start tipping back into iG.Vitality's favor?
I mean, it has the opportunity to do so. I still feel confident in Vici's ability to take the fights because they have the heroes for it and they've shown the wherewithal for it. But this Vision game has been pretty punishing against them. Like, I feel that if 6 minutes ago we had Burning pick up a gem, give it to DK or Doom, the next 6 minutes would have played out very differently and would have created so many more opportunities to generate this income because, again, it's about formation. DK and Doom are on the front line. The Lich, the Disruptor, nowhere near. All they need is sight, and they can do things with the glimpse. And it's just, or just even having the Ice Armor up, like that's contributing significantly. Dragon Knight with BKB up, Dragon's Blood, and Ice Armor is unkillable until that BKB is over. Just straight up, this team can do nothing but swap him under tier 4 towers or fountain in order to try to actually kill this DK off. So what the problem is not that the DK is scared. It's not the problem that DK can't stick to the target. It's that he can't see the damn target, so he needs that gem, and that's the biggest issue they've had. So I wouldn't say, I would definitely agree with you, communication and coordination, but I also think just eyes on the prize. Get the division, get the kills. I mean, this would be a dead Tidehunter. This would be at least one tier 2 tower. Yeah. And obviously the Roche going the other way as well.
When you start to think about the whole context of this game, you had earlier on that fight near the small camp in the Radiant Jungle where they were able to catch the Tidehunter, get the Doom off onto him at the start. It was the exact same problem that we ended up. At that time, it was that, they didn't have detection. Now they have detection, but they're in the wrong spot. Maybe they're going to be able to find it the third time around. But it's one of those things where those little opportunities that the team gives you, be able to get back into the game, you got to seize those moments. And it looks now as well like, maybe with Sylar having this BKB up, or excuse me, the Aghanim Scepter up and online, you're going to be able to feel more comfortable just running into the fray, and possibly you switch over the gem onto him. But they certainly need something.
Yeah, I definitely don't think it's just down the Lich. Even with the Windlace, this hero is still not supposed to be in the confrontations. But actually, bottom, it was... I don't know why he stood there, actually, because RTK lost all of his mana, just trying to keep purging the Ember Spirit, I guess taking off the Flame Guard, and he was out of mana and below half HP. So let's jump top here. Friend does get caught. No Light Shadow for you, friend. Static Storm will have the last word. All the same, I will say that that was definitely a mistake for RTK to stick around for as long as he did, and there end up, even though it's picked off the Mirana, I'm not sure they take an objective off of that because they're still afraid of everything else IGV have to offer.
Now maybe a play as well, moving in towards the mid lane. Mirana's going to be back up in 30, but you've already got a lot of potential for Yuno to just kind of throw his body at the team of Vici Gaming with that ace online. But I don't know, I'm really wondering now with a Lincoln Sphere up, like, how do you kill the guy? CTY trying to find a get the chains as he's going to remnant away and stealing his creeps and just going to end up trying to hightail it out of there.
It's tough. I mean, you're not going to be seeing a single target item on the Dragonite anytime soon, so he's not going to have easy blink jump. Static Storm is still very, very valuable against Ever Spirit, though, and Lincoln Sphere will not in any way solve that, other than to potentially negate Glimpse. So I do think that Static Storm is the play, and then also if doesn't have the reaction time, from Invis, you can go for a Satyr Purge into the Doom.
Well, here we go, though. They're going to be able to get a stun onto several. Doom onto iG.Vitality. They've still got vision of him. Chain Frost beginning to bounce. Oh, that's going to be a pretty nice one, though. Able to take it away from the rest of his team. Super is still alive here. Able to swap out his buddy, and it looks like he's going to end up dying. They get the arrow onto CTY, though, and on the other side, the Static Storm is already down. It's not actually hitting onto that many people at all. If you look on the other side of the fight, Red has finally been popped, and CTY with the BKB pop is not going to be able to survive this. I don't think one last right click comes in for, for the kill. HYM trying to TP away, but the arrow through the Glimmer Cape. They don't even care. They know that he's around here somewhere, and finally we're going to catch him. They only lose the Venge after the Doom got committed onto the Tide, and Vici Gaming lose 3.
Disastrous fight for Vici Gaming, and you just see how hard they had to commit for the Vengeful Spirit. She was invisible half the time. They got a couple of really good spells on her, but surprisingly tanky, this Venge, actually, and is survived through it all. Sylar goes for a quick little play here and is able to disengage before the Searing Chains come back, so does get the deny. Pretty cheeky performance from him, but going back to the fight, much more importantly is they had to dive the Venge. They should have that kill so easily, and yet they were in this kind of daisy chain that essentially lines them up for an arrow. Somebody's going to eat an arrow in those kinds of formations, in those situations, and it's a disastrous fight for Vici Gaming. They not only lose those heroes, but they lose the Gem of Truth, which brings us back to the vision problem.
It really does feel like now at this point in time, any play, I mean, obviously as you're pushing into the towers, it's less important the vision that's going to be coming out. But actually, speaking of that, we are going to get seeing the Shadow Blade out here. Doom is not for another 20 seconds, though, and iG.Vitality going to be controlled through, but Static Storm is down. They actually hit the arrow onto ROTK, so it's caught over. They're not going to be able to find it, and now you jump on in. Miranda drops down a cool 300 damage onto everybody. They've got the Veil out there. CTY is forced to pop his BKB, and just all over the place. Oh, God, iG.V, they are on another level right now.
Yeah, they absolutely are. I even catch Burning. If this is a kill, this is going to be Rax! A triple kill for Fran out of nowhere! They don't even lose iG.Vitality, who got caught in so much! Oh, this is an absolute disaster for Vici Gaming. High ground handed to iG.V on a silver platter. And this could be
July doing the backstroke in the fountain. It's this stuff, you want to be able to see that out of these guys.
The leap blink back, jeez.
I mean, I think that they're trying to get the little Starstorm on the side. I don't know what the cast point is on that one, but
no, it's just for the attack speed. But it's just so cheeky. It's like so annoying to play up against. But they're cool and calm and collected. They see the Doom back up. They see the H6 fire. They say we're not going to push it, even though huge Rax opportunity. It's just still iG.V doing massive work. They've got Lincolns on both their cores now, so suddenly DK is running out of options for initiation. Did get the gem back. Burning's gem is now on a hero that can do something with it, but his BKB charges have been wearing down rapidly. 6 seconds remaining for CTY's Black King bar, and that is actually a really big deal in this game.
HYM going in with the Glimmer Cape, trying to get down these wards. I mean, again, I'm looking at this situation here, and they're actually going to be able to find out, for a second, the Ember Spirit. They're going to Remnant forward. Gush is down. My God, he is just so freaking dead. I'm really concerned at this point that Vici Gaming look to be imploding. There's been communication errors throughout the course of this game, and how do they get back into this? Like, is it just take a deep breath and try and, Shadow Blade in for a Doom onto Tide and finally finish them off? It feels like there's been options, they just haven't fully converted.
It really the Moonlight Shadow plays is something that I don't think Vici Gaming have had to play around much recently, even though they were the ones to go through the open qualifiers. They have 6.87 competitive experience than any other team in this tournament, bar maybe Newbie Young. It's just, right now, Vici, they are struggling with this one simple aspect that, generally speaking, isn't such a high impact, such a big deal in competitive Dota. Invis is usually like a way to move around the map, is a way to get in position for a play and surprise attack, like Bounty Hunter and Riki do. But to actually fight and be able to play Invis, that is something that in this case is inexcusable. It's just simply they haven't played around it enough, and they are not being diligent enough in their efforts to try to keep their targets in their sights, and they've missed so many opportunities. Like, if we go back and revert all the things that I'm talking about in terms of detection, this game is extremely favorable for Vici Gaming. They would be dramatically favored in both graphs, and they obviously would have much more done in terms of towers. They probably would have not only both tier 2s down, but have one or two of their own. And instead, it's quite the opposite. This is iG being able to not only luck out in terms of Vici Gaming's failure to control the vision game, but also just I mean, that swap. I really got to go back to that one. That's really team play. That's team play at its finest, because you're able to initiate, you're able to play it back. All these things are enabling iG to start steamrolling, and if they open up day one with 4 consecutive wins, they are almost guaranteed top 2. I mean, they are guaranteed top 2, right? They have to be.
I'm pretty sure it's close to that at the very least. They've been doing an immaculate job, and well, it's 5 teams per, so it might not be.
It would be a tiebreaker at the very least.
Right, and so one thing that I'll also point out here, this iG squad, when I talked about them previously, I talked about them as sort of a ragtag bunch. There was some talk that, when joined the team, the squad was kind of in tatters. He brought his own team in to fill out people that he had played with before. But since that time, they've been playing together, and they've been together since early March, whereas you compare the Vici's gaming squad, they had to come in at the end of March. So extra bit of time to play together, and plus games that they've played in all the 8 cups, whereas Vici Gaming's been a little bit more on the aloof side. It's really showing how important teamwork is in these types of games, and the ability to all be on the same page. And now you see iG again, the play comes out from Vici Gaming, the smoke up to try and move in, and they move as one back up to the high ground. Just really good positioning around the map.
They're going to go for the Moonlight Shadow. This is the kind of thing you'd expect Moonlight Shadow initiation plays. Unless there's Observer Sentry combos, this should get iG in position. The question is what they do with it. They will be able to get the Blink Jump, at least onto one hero.
The Ravage is going to be there. I think that they're going to be able to find this. They're looking for at least one, and now with the arrow to scout things, they might just go for a jump. Do they end up dropping out? The Doom comes down on iG.Vitality. Can they get the swap out? But he needs to walk away from here. Stylar is still feeling the damage. The BKB is there. Super dropping. Suddenly, this is not looking so good for iG. They've been able to pull out iG.Vitality, and Dragon Knight the double might be able to find a little more. Is forced to retreat, and that was what Vici Gaming needed.
Yes, so this would open up the Roche pit for them. This will be the second Roche. Really good opportunity for Vici Gaming if they do make a move for it, but there's some hesitancy here. I mean, do they not know which objective is ideal to them? Are they worried about all the lanes being pushed in? I mean, the Ember Spirit split pushes, but he doesn't actually hit the towers all that hard prior to a Rapier. So in this situation, I think Roche is definitely the move to make, but they are just spreading the map.
Well, it's worth noting, like, they've got the Lich here with the Hand of Midas. He's been obviously not trying to go into items that end up taking them to the late game. Do you think that this is a lineup from Vici Gaming they're going to be able to contend with what iG.Vitality are throwing at them? I mean, Doom against Spur, that's a pretty good matchup for all intents and purposes.
Only if you get the opportunity. Like, I feel with the Liquid Sphere and with the way that has been playing, how he's played Ember Spirit for the past couple of months, he's definitely going to be able to avoid those tough situations where it's kind of quick draw between players. The Liquid Spirit gives you a bit of added time to work with, and I just feel it's a lot easier for the Ember Spirit right now to avoid the Doom than it actually is to avoid the Dragon Knight, who just picked up an Orchid. Not necessarily for the silence, but for the Lincoln spot. But he can actually catch a Dragon Tail on one of his 2 carries.
Eventual, possibly building into that blood. I wanted to see it in a
that would be a very significant goal. That would be just a disastrous.
The dream, the terrible.
The Bloodthorn to Papa Lincoln. Yeah, it's shorter done, right?
It's the good stuff. Everybody looks to get it.
It's 7,000 gold to 4 staff. What's the difference,
So we're going to end up seeing now Sylar, again, Aghanim Scepter. He's been sitting on this plate mill for a little while. I'm assuming this is just going to translate into a Sheep's Guard, as he does have that Mystic Staff and Rusty coming out to him. So all hunky-dory. They're going to end up backing back tower, though, and after losing the Aegis, all the map control is seated. Do you even think about trying to make a smoke play at this point, or is it too dangerous trying to fight into the lineup that is probably going to be together?
Well, the most interesting point about that is that we have 3 smokes to seat in Vici. They have our full stock smokes. They're not even using their timer. They're actually like losing smokes by the second, as well, not dramatically. Just a tiny smoke, 1% of a smoke a second. I don't know, but like maybe they're not used to the fact that there are so many more smokes in the game because of the change in 6.87 to fresh it faster. I feel it's not that dramatic. They should be able to take advantage of it, and they should be able to make the smoke plays happen. But I guess it just comes down to them not really having a good idea of where enemies are moving until it's too late to move on them. And that's a very common theme against an Ember Spirit with OTs. He'll farm a wave, then he'll jump somewhere else. He'll farm a wave, and then he'll jump somewhere else. And you essentially have to predict where he's going to be before he even makes that move. And it's been a little bit too hard for them.
Oh, wow. All right, they're going to be walking in. Lincoln Sphere is on top of this Tidehunter, and he's looking for a Ravage. Can he find it? It was a very good setup right there by ROTK. Sylar is going to be scouted out there, going to get stunned there. To
oh, no.
Off, and it looks like they might be able to just push him down. Oh, the Chase Frost. I'm not sure if that was the play. They're going to lift back up now, and this is going to be dead HYM. They're just falling apart. I don't even know about this. ROTK zone DP. They're going to be able to do this for but there's the Zipkins, and he ends up just backing out again. Dragon knows himself. And he crashed it. And it is upon really gets too much damage coming out. God, no, don't let it. This bird is going to get destroyed. Poor hero, poor addiction, GG gets called. iG.Vitality with destruction over Vici Gaming.
That was an absolute disaster for Vici. What looked like a game that they absolutely could follow through with just came to a series of failures to connect with their movements, with their fights. And I feel like if just 3 or 4 different fights went differently, then suddenly we have ourselves actually a tie between Vici and iG.V. They absolutely had a chance to take this game, but just a few fights, the execution wasn't there. Just mechanically, they sought opportunities, they were grasping at straws, and they felt